Today I woke up and chose math. I know no one asked, but I was kind of curious to do the math and figure out how long it's going to take us to get to level 70. We can also do different formulas depending on if you spend Stellar Jades on Trailblaze Power versus not. We're also going to be, of course, taking the XP you get from daily quests into consideration, which has changed over time. I assume this is based on your level. So the higher level you are, the more XP you get for your daily quests, but we're mainly just talking about from 65 to 70 for now, because that's like massive. We are now level 66, so I could see how much it actually increases from 65 to 66. And with a little bit of assuming, we can estimate how much for 68, 69, 70. I did take a couple screenshots. We needed a little over 65k for level 66. Now from 66 to 67, we need almost 69k. So we're just gonna round up to 4k and assume every level after that is gonna jump by approximately 4k. It's not gonna be exact, but it's gonna be close enough to get an idea, which leaves the final level 69 to 70 at around 81,000 XP needed. Adding that all together, we come to a total of 365,000 XP. Now that the easy part is done, we need to figure out how much Trailblaze Power we get per day. And to figure that out, we need to wait until this next recovery timer is over. While waiting for that, let's figure out how many minutes are in a day. We have 24 hours in a day times 60, pretty easy calculation, and we end up with 1440 minutes. And we're just gonna divide that by whatever pops up here in a few seconds. And 6 minutes. So now we divide 1440 by 6 to see how many sections of 6 minutes there are in a day. And there are 240. So that means we get 240 Trailblaze Power per day. We can hold 180. So that means as long as you use all your Trailblaze Power before you log off and log on again in under 18 hours, you will not waste any. And this is of course what we're calculating with. Full efficiency. There are other things to take into consideration, like the double rewards also double the amount of XP you get. We do and will be having these events somewhat regularly, I imagine, but it's not a constant thing. I might just ignore this because people can choose to not take advantage of the event as well. Like if they really wanted to use their Trailblaze Power on something else. I mean, as a side note, I do recommend taking advantage of this. You can never have too many credits. But yes, at full efficiency, we get 240 Trailblaze Power per day. As you can see here, we get 50 XP per 10 Trailblaze Power. Dividing down, that's 5 XP per power. So we're basically just gonna do a good old 240 times 5. And if we use all 240 Trailblaze Power in this 24-hour period, we'll get 1200 XP. I will of course assume you're doing your daily quests every day. This is actually where you get more XP. Right now for me, being a level 66, it is 1900 per day. It was also 1900 last week and at level 65, so I assume this will pretty much stay consistent. Maybe they will decide to upgrade it later, but I have no knowledge or control over that. We're just gonna say 1900 XP from the dailies. Now smashing those two numbers together, we get 3100 XP per day. This is being fully efficient and never allowing your Trailblaze Power to reach 180, which for daily players isn't too hard to maintain. So we said we needed around 365,000 XP. So pretty simple calculation, 365,000 divided by the amount we get daily, which at baseline is 3100. And that comes out to 117.7419 days. One day you weren't feeling so well and allowed your Trailblaze Power to reach 180 for a few hours, okay? Around 17 weeks or 4 months. Really, it's not as bad as I thought it was. Genshin was a lot worse. It would take about that time per level. Even so, currently, each level requiring 60 to 80k is ridiculous, but at the same time, there's no real incentive to rush. So I think more realistically, let's say double rewards are there half the time, and we get approximately the same amount of XP per event. Without the bonus, 12 runs would get us 600 XP here. With the bonus, we of course get 1200. Bit of magic math tells us we get 600 extra XP per day, and let's assume we'll have events like this half the time. So basically 300 XP extra per day. That bumps our daily 3100 to 3400. Just adding that 300 XP brings our total of 118 days down to only 107.3. For simplicity, we'll just round down to say 107. But regardless, it's about 10 days less, assuming you take advantage of all events that pop up. And saying they'll be active half the time is probably quite generous, but we did kind of start the video with an assumption anyway, so the numbers aren't going to be perfectly accurate, but should be actually close enough for whatever that's worth. So the next thing I want to look at is if you are refilling Trailblaze Power with Stellar Jades. Personally, now that I've passed 65 and there's not a new EQ level to look forward to, I'm only refilling until it costs 100. I'm 99% sure that it's 3 refills, but I actually need to make sure. So let me spin my current Trailblaze Power so I can do that real quick. We did the first 6 runs, and yes, as you can see, we actually do get this extra XP as well. First time I did one of these double events, I was honestly pretty surprised to see that also the XP is doubled. Let's go ahead and grab our first for 50 here. We can also grab our second for 75. So let's go ahead and grab our third for, again, 75, and then we can check to make sure it's actually 100 now. Yes, it is. Okay, so 3 refreshes is what I'm usually doing. Obviously not for the XP gain, but for more materials. But doing those 3 refills nets you an extra 900 XP per day. So we said it was about 118 days without using any stellar jades. What about with 3 refreshes? We add the 900 onto the 3100 and get 4,000. Then we divide 365,000 by 4,000 and get 91.25. So 91.25 days. That's a pretty sharp decline. You're basically chopping off an entire month. That's actually quite surprising. With our hypothetical events running for half the time, it would cut that 91 days down to about 85. And just for fun, we do have 5 exchanges remaining. So for the mega uber whales, let's calculate that as well. Doing all 8 refreshes every day. With all 8 refreshes, you're getting an extra 480 Trailblaze Power, which is an extra 2,400 XP. And that's 5,500 XP per day. So again, dividing by 365,000, we are left with just over 2 months. So again, we're chopping nearly another month off of it. Definitely doesn't seem worth it unless you really need like tons of materials. If you're raising every single character in the game, then yeah, maybe. I think our hypothetical event won't make much of a dent in this, but let's do it anyway. Adding an extra 300 XP only drops it down by a couple of days. Now we're at 62.9, just rounding up to 63. So obviously the first route of just doing your dailies and using your 240 Trailblaze Power per day is free. But just for fun, let's see how many stellar jades you would actually need to do the 3 refreshes and the full refreshes, which I've never gone that far, so I don't know how much it would actually be. Small price to pay for science? Yeah, okay. 4th one is 100. 5th one is 100. So I use some, but let's just grab some Sim Universe entries, which may not be the most recommended thing since we get 4 free per week, but I do run Sim Universe a lot and I'm still trying to get these. I digress though. But yes, 5th one is 100 stellar jades. 6th one is 150. 7th one is also 150. So we're gonna grab this one as well and we'll see if it goes above 150. It does, it goes all the way to 200. Okay, so I wasn't sure about that. We're not gonna grab that one. We have the information. We don't need to waste 200 stellar jades on 60 Trailblaze Power, thankfully. Let's just grab a couple more of those so we're not at cap. And there we go. So for the first example, and using 3 refills, we said it would take 91.25 days to get to 70. You need 200 stellar jades to do the first 3 refills, the 50, 75, 75. We'll just round up to 92, and the total stellar jade cost in that scenario would be 18.4 thousand. To buy them straight up, you would need a little over $200. But the Express Supply Pass does help a lot with that, giving you 90 per day. Doing all refills requires quite a bit more, 900 stellar jades every day. The one upside is that you don't need to spend 900 stellar jades for as many days, 66.3 days. We're just gonna again round up to 67, but you don't have to be a mathematician to know you're gonna need to spend a lot more than the 3 refill guy. 60,300 stellar jades. I don't think the Express Supply Pass is really gonna help you that much here. Dividing the total stellar jades with the 80 you get from the $100 pack, and we come to 7.46, so approximately $740. Yeah, don't do that, probably. I would say no, it's not worth it. That's 376 pulls you could do instead. But yeah, let's talk about a single refresh, probably the most realistic. I didn't save this for the end on purpose. It's just 3 is what I do. All refreshes is kind of ridiculous, and then, you know, the standard. But it's actually pretty easy because with 1 refresh, you get 60 Trailblaze Power, which is equivalent to 300 XP. So with 1 refill, you're going from 118 days to about 107. With the event bonus, we're actually into the single digits, going to 98.6 days. As for cost, since I didn't include the event, I won't do that for this. 107 times 50 is 53.50, much more reasonable over the span of like 3.5 months. But yeah, I guess that'll pretty much do it. That was fun, I guess. The math wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Hopefully I got everything right. I mean, it was pretty simple, so I don't know how I could have messed that up, really. The only thing could be my assumptions were off, and maybe like 67 to 68 will need 180k XP for some reason. Make sure to tell me what you think, though, in the comments down below. Dropping a like or subscribing to the channel if you enjoyed this wacky little adventure we just went on. What was I saying?